You ever wonder why the people with everything always look so empty? The ones who have the power, the money, the world at their fingertips. Yet their eyes still look hollow. They've built empires, bought everything you dream of, but there's something they can't buy. Peace. You think they're free, but they're not. They're prisoners of their own success, trapped in golden cages with walls made of silence. Because when the noise of the world fades and the lights go out, they're left alone with the one thing they can't escape: themselves. They told you that success would fix everything, didn't they? That once you had the money, the cars, the applause, the power, you'd finally feel whole. They painted the picture perfectly. The billionaire sitting on top of the world, smiling like he's cracked life's final code. But what they never show you is what happens when the cameras turn off, when the lights fade, when the world stops cheering. That's when you hear it, that faint, unbearable whisper echoing in the silence. The illusion of success, you see. The world taught you to chase it like it's salvation. But what they didn't tell you is that success was never about peace. It was about distraction. A shiny mask for a hollow face. You start believing you're untouchable, unstoppable, immortal even. You buy more, you build more, you conquer more. But every night, the same question stares back at you from the dark ceiling above your bed. Is this it? You thought success would make you feel something permanent, something that couldn't fade, but all it did was amplify the emptiness that was always there. The illusion becomes clearer with every new achievement, every new possession, every empty toast at another meaningless party. Because success has a way of showing you what really matters by taking it away. The cruel trick is that people worship you for the very thing that destroyed your peace. They envy your cage because it's made of gold. They don't see the loneliness dripping from your smile. They don't hear the sound of your laughter echoing in an empty room. You became everything the world wanted you to be, but lost everything you actually needed. You became a reflection of their desires, not your own. They call you a genius, a visionary, a god, but deep down, you know you're just tired. Tired of pretending that all this means something. Success isolates. It separates you from the rest, puts you on a pedestal you never asked for, but can't step down from. And once you're up there, you realize it's cold. You realize no one claps for you when you cry. No one celebrates your sleepless nights, your broken relationships, your quiet regrets. They only want the highlight reel, not the man behind it. And when you try to tell them it's not what it seems, they laugh because they still believe the same illusion you once did. They don't want the truth. They want the fantasy. They want to believe that money cures pain and fame heals loneliness. But the truth is, success doesn't fill the void. It just decorates it. It gives you things to look at so you don't notice how empty you feel. It distracts you with noise, lights, and attention. And yet, no matter how bright it shines, the silence always returns. You can't buy peace. You can't trade for meaning. And you can't build love out of concrete and glass. The illusion sells comfort, but the soul craves connection. The illusion promises happiness, but the soul only finds it in truth. So the billionaire sits there, surrounded by everything he once dreamed of, realizing he's been living inside a lie too big to escape. The illusion was never success itself. It was the belief that success could save him. And when that illusion shatters, he sees it all for what it is, a beautifully constructed prison, made of everything the world told him to desire. The people outside look at him and say, "He's made it." But if they could hear the silence inside his heart, they'd realize he's been trying to escape ever since he arrived. People don't chase money because they love paper. They chase it because they think it'll buy them the respect they were denied. They think if they pile enough of it up, maybe people will finally listen, finally see them, finally care. But here's the trick. The world doesn't respect you for what you have. It just envies you for it. Respect built on envy isn't real. It's a performance, a fragile illusion dressed in admiration. You start confusing fear with loyalty and praise with love. The more you have, the louder the applause. But the moment you fall, silence. Not because they didn't care, but because they never truly did. They were never clapping for you. They were clapping for what they could never be. And that's the poison. You begin to crave that applause, to depend on it like oxygen. You start bending yourself to keep it coming. You smile when you want to scream. You give when you have nothing left. You pretend you're fine when you're falling apart. Because deep down, you know that if the applause stops, you'll have to face yourself, the version of you that exists without money, fame, or validation. That's the version you've been running from all along. You bury yourself in achievements, in luxury, in noise, hoping to drown out that voice inside whispering that maybe, just maybe, you've built your worth on lies. Money gives you power, but it also takes your freedom. Every dollar ties you to someone's expectations. Every success raises the bar higher until you're trapped in your own empire. You think you own it all, but in reality, it owns you. You can't walk away because you've made the world believe you have everything. And you can't stand to see their faces. If they ever found out, you're just as lost as they are. You've become a prisoner of your own success, wearing golden chains, smiling through exhaustion, pretending that the throne isn't just another cage. It's funny how people say, money changes you. It doesn't. It just amplifies what was already there. If you were broken, it multiplies the cracks. If you were empty, it expands the void. You can cover it with luxury cars, designer suits, or applause, but the mirror never lies. When you look into it long enough, you see what you've truly become. Someone who traded authenticity for approval. Someone who mistook status for self-worth. You realize that you spent your life climbing a ladder that leaned against the wrong wall. The cruel part is, when you finally have it all, you can't tell anyone how miserable you are. Because who would believe you? They'd laugh. They'd call you ungrateful. They'd remind you how lucky you are. But luck is a curse when it blinds you to what really matters. You can't admit that your victories feel hollow, that your laughter feels rehearsed, that your relationships feel transactional. You've built a world where you can buy anything except peace. And maybe that's the greatest joke of all. The people you stepped on to get here, they sleep better than you. The ones you ignored, they smile more honestly. You sit in your mansion, surrounded by echoes of laughter that isn't real, eating meals that don't taste right, watching the world spin outside while you rot in a luxury coffin made of your own choices. You thought wealth would set you free, but it only made the walls higher. You thought power would make you loved, but it only made people fear you. You thought respect came from having, not being. And now you see the price of that mistake. So you pour another drink, scroll through fake smiles on your phone, and wonder if this is what winning feels like. You can't go back, you can't escape, and you can't pretend anymore. The empire you built is heavy, and the soul beneath it is suffocating. You wanted the world to remember your name, but now you'd give anything to remember who you were before all of this began. Power. It's the sweetest poison ever created. Everyone wants it, everyone's chasing it, and no one truly understands what it costs until it's too late. At first, it feels good, intoxicating, almost divine. People look at you differently. They move out of your way. They speak softer when you enter the room. You start to believe you've finally won, that the world is yours to shape. But power has a dark sense of humor. It makes you feel untouchable while slowly tightening the noose around your neck. You don't even realize it's happening. You think you're in control, when really control is what's being taken from you. The moment you start to enjoy the feeling of being above others, you become dependent on it. You stop listening to people unless they flatter you. You stop questioning yourself because it feels safer to believe you're right. You start living in an echo chamber of approval, and soon you forget what truth even sounds like. Power isolates you, not because people walk away, but because you stop letting them get close enough to see the cracks. And those cracks, they grow fast. You can't share weakness anymore. It would ruin the illusion. You can't ask for help. It would make you look small. You can't show emotion. It would make you human. So, you build walls higher and higher, telling yourself it's protection, when really, it's a prison. You sit at the top of your empire surrounded by people who smile too wide and speak too carefully, and you can't tell if they like you or fear you. You try to convince yourself it doesn't matter, but at night, when the noise dies down, that silence becomes unbearable. Power creates distance between you and others, between you and peace, between you and yourself. You can't have genuine connections anymore, because you'll never know if they're drawn to you or to the influence you carry. Every compliment becomes a question mark. Every handshake feels like a transaction. Every friendship has a price tag. You wanted control, but what you got was isolation dressed as victory. You don't own power. Power owns you. It feeds on your insecurities, your need to be seen, your fear of being ordinary. It convinces you that love, respect, and loyalty are all the same thing. And then it laughs when you find out they're not. See, power doesn't corrupt suddenly. It corrupts quietly. It doesn't demand that you become a monster overnight. It just asks you to compromise, a little at first. Bend a rule here, ignore a voice there. Justify a wrong decision because it's for the greater good. And by the time you realize what you've become, you're already too deep. You start looking down at everyone else, forgetting that once you were one of them. You start believing that you're special, chosen, above it all. That's when the transformation is complete. When you start seeing others as tools, not people. But power never stays loyal. The same people who once bowed before you are the ones sharpening their knives when you fall. And you will fall, eventually. Not because you're weak, but because power always turns on those who depend on it too much. It feeds your ego until it's bloated and blind. Then watches as you destroy yourself, trying to protect the very illusion that's killing you. You'll start making desperate choices, not because you want to, but because you can't bear to lose the only thing that still gives you meaning. In the end, you're not leading anyone. You're just dancing for their attention, addicted to the feeling of being needed, terrified of becoming invisible. You'll pretend you're fine, but deep down you'll know. You've traded your soul for control. You'll remember the times when you used to laugh without strategy, speak without calculation, care without motive. And that memory will sting, because you'll know you can never go back. You'll realize that power never gave you freedom. It just replaced your old chains with golden ones. You'll realize that all the influence, all the dominance, all the fear you inspired, it was never respect, it was survival. People obeyed you not because they loved you, but because they feared losing what you could take away. And one day, when that power slips through your fingers, when the crowd finds a new idol to worship, you'll understand what it really meant to have everything and still feel completely alone. The world doesn't reward honesty. It rewards performance. Everyone's playing a part, pretending to be fine, pretending to be happy, pretending to be in control. You walk down the street and see people smiling, laughing, acting like everything's perfect. But behind those eyes, there's chaos. Behind that confidence, there's fear. Behind that laughter, there's loneliness. And it's not their fault. The world teaches you that the truth isn't marketable. That being real doesn't sell. So people learn early. Hide it. Mask it. Package it into something others will like. Because nobody wants the truth. They just want a version of you that makes them comfortable. You grow up being told to fit in, to behave, to be normal. But normal is just a costume everyone wears to hide the cracks. You start to realize that everyone's pretending. But by the time you see it, you're already part of the act. You've learned to smile when you're breaking, to say, "I'm fine," when you're drowning, to perform the role the world expects. You stop being yourself and start being what the world wants to see. And the longer you play that role, the more you lose the person behind it. You want to tell the truth, but the truth makes people uncomfortable. The truth breaks illusions, and illusions are what keep this world spinning. So you lie. Not because you want to, but because it's easier. You lie to your friends, to your family, to yourself. You tell yourself you're happy, that everything's fine, that you're in control. You start believing your own lies just to survive another day in a world that punishes authenticity and rewards performance. It's all a game. The job interviews, the social media, the small talk, it's all scripted. Everyone trying to outshine each other, to prove they're happier, richer, stronger, more successful. But it's hollow. It's noise. And when you strip it all away, you're left with silence. And that silence terrifies people. Because silence makes you see what you've been running from. It shows you the truth you've buried under smiles and filters and fake laughter. The scariest part isn't that everyone's pretending. It's that most people don't even realize they're doing it anymore. They've become so good at lying that they've forgotten what the truth feels like. They wake up, put on their masks, and call it living. They go to bed, exhausted from pretending, and call it life. They've forgotten how to be real because realness doesn't win in this world. Appearances do. And you know what's funny. Even the people who tell you to be yourself don't mean it. They mean, be yourself as long as it doesn't make us uncomfortable. Be confident, but not too confident. Be kind, but not weak. Be successful, but not threatening. Be different, but only in ways we approve of. They don't want the truth. They want control. They want you to be predictable, manageable, safe. Because when you stop playing the part, when you start questioning the script, you become dangerous. That's why truth tellers are always the outcasts. The world doesn't crucify liars. It crucifies those who expose lies. Because lies hold society together. Lies keep people working, consuming, obeying. The moment you stop pretending, you remind everyone else that they're pretending too, and they hate that feeling, that reflection of their own emptiness. So they'll call you crazy, bitter, lost. They'll say you've changed, when in reality, you've just stopped performing. And when you stop performing, you start seeing the game for what it really is. The promotions, the popularity, the praise. It's all part of the same illusion. You realize that truth doesn't need validation. It doesn't need applause. It just exists, quiet and uncomfortable, waiting for the few who are brave enough to face it. But most people never will. They'll keep smiling for the camera, keep clapping for the show, keep pretending everything's fine, because pretending is easier than feeling. So they live their whole lives trapped in roles they never chose, acting out scenes they don't believe in, surrounded by people doing the same. They laugh, they work, they grow old. And somewhere along the way, they forget what their own voice sounds like. They forget who they were before the world told them who to be. And by the time they remember, it's usually too late. The mask has fused with the skin, and they can't take it off anymore without tearing themselves apart. Peace, the most expensive thing in the world, and yet the one thing people treat like it's worthless. Everyone's chasing something: money, fame, approval, but nobody's chasing peace. Because peace doesn't shine. It doesn't scream for attention. It's quiet. It's simple. It's not something you can show off. And that's why they ignore it. People want noise. They want validation. They want to be seen, heard, admired. But peace doesn't care about any of that. Peace isn't loud. It's the absence of all the things you thought mattered. It's the silence that's left after the applause fades. You see people running, always running. To work, to success, to relationships, to distractions. They call it ambition, but half the time, it's escape. They don't want to face themselves, so they keep moving, keep working, keep filling their lives with noise. Because when they stop, when everything finally goes quiet, that's when the truth starts whispering, and they can't handle it. They can't handle silence, because silence exposes everything they've buried. The guilt, the loneliness, the fear. The things that can't be hidden under a smile or a bank account. Peace doesn't come from fixing the world. It comes from surviving it without losing yourself. You don't find peace in having everything. You find it in realizing you don't need to. The rich think they can buy it. The powerful think they can control it. The famous think they can fake it. But peace doesn't play by their rules. It slips through the cracks of their perfect lives, hiding where they never look. In honesty, in solitude, in surrender, you can't fake peace. You can fake happiness, you can fake love, but not peace. Peace doesn't perform. It doesn't care who's watching. It's not the smile you show the world. It's the sigh you release when no one's there. It's when you stop trying to impress people who wouldn't care if you disappeared. It's when you stop proving your worth to a world that profits from your insecurity. That's peace. Not a destination, but a detachment. And the cruel irony: the more you chase things, the further you drift from peace. You get the car, but now you worry about losing it. You get the fame, but now you fear being forgotten. You get the money, but now you're terrified it'll run out. Every gain becomes a new prison. You spend your whole life protecting the things that are actually protecting you from peace. The chains aren't on your wrists. They're in your mind, disguised as success. People confuse peace with comfort. They think peace means everything's perfect, no problems, no pain. But peace isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's being in chaos and not letting it own you. It's being surrounded by noise and not letting it get inside you. It's knowing that even when the world is against you, your mind doesn't have to be. Peace isn't something you get. It's something you stop losing. And that's the part that scares people most. Because to find peace, you have to let go of control, of ego, of the constant need to be more. And letting go feels like dying when all you've ever known is holding on. You've been taught that value comes from doing, from achieving, from winning. But peace isn't about doing. It's about undoing. undoing everything the world made you believe you needed to be happy, undoing the lies you told yourself to survive, undoing the idea that rest is weakness and silence is failure. Peace doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It just needs space. Space you've been filling with noise, people and problems that don't even belong to you. The world will call you lazy for slowing down. It'll call you unambitious for walking away. It'll call you cold for protecting your energy. But the truth is, peace looks like rebellion in a world addicted to chaos. It's the ultimate act of defiance. To be calm when everyone else is desperate. And maybe that's why so few people ever find it. Because peace asks you to give up everything you thought made you matter. It asks you to sit with yourself, to face the silence you've been avoiding, to stop pretending that happiness lives in the next achievement. Peace asks for honesty, brutal, uncomfortable honesty, the kind that breaks you before it heals you. And most people can't handle that. They'd rather keep chasing, keep running, keep pretending. Because pretending feels easier than pausing. And that's why peace will always be rare. Not because it's hard to find, but because most people are too afraid to look for it.